What is going on, Inner Nerds? Steven here with Senior Nerd John.
What's up, nerds?
As always, please subscribe, follow the channel. I'm looking at myself. I mean, John, not the camera. Please give us a subscribe. We post often. Please follow us everywhere at the Inner Nerds. Today, there's going to be a lot of spoilers. Actually, this whole thing is spoilers. We are talking about Masters of the Universe Revelations.
Yep.
I loved it, John. I'm sorry. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of hate out there. People are really going at Kevin Smith on this one. And look, I grew up with it. I was there when the toys first came out. I had Castle Grayskull. I understand some of what they're saying, right? Everybody loved He-Man, and He-Man is not the center of this story right now. So I get some of the frustration, the anger. You're not getting what you wanted, but so what? Grow up.
Thank you.
We're telling a different story. The story is not called He-Man Revelation.
Right.
It's called Masters of the Universe Revelation, and we're seeing some of the fallout. I mean, the first 5 episodes were about the repercussions of him disappearing. What happens when Grayskull's champion disappears, and a lot of it.
I thought it was so much more interesting.
I agree, right? Like, so we lost both the two protagonists that we've had, right? We lost He-Man, we lost Skeletor. What happens when the two big people that have driven the stories disappear, and how does it, play out?
My biggest conflict with everyone's complaint is, what did you want? More of the same thing? You had 60 or 80 episodes, whatever it is. You want just more? Like, you don't want... And my other big
episode of Skeletor trying to take Grayskull, He-Man battles it back, and that's the end.
Corny
and
jokes.
Catch us next week. I mean,
because to me, this had to happen this way, because if you look, we're almost in a renaissance right now of adult cartooning, if you would. A lot of examples that come into my head right now are more so comedy, but like you have Rick and Morty, Big Mouth,
Invincible.
Invincible,
totally doing something different with the superhero genre.
So the show had to compete with those properties, and it's on Netflix. It's not like it's on Hulu or any. So like it has to compete. It's literally on the platform where a lot of these shows are on. So it had to engage not just your audience, right? My audience, who I knew nothing. I tried to watch some of the older ones. I was drawn in right away. I was tied into. I thought it was amazing. I was really interested in all these characters, how they modernized them, how they brought them to today's issues. Today's issues just meaning like Man-at-Arms is older,
right?
He has a hard relationship with his daughter. He's like, that's what I mean about modern issues. It wasn't just.
And some of the hate is the modern issues, right? We got a lot of fanboys who are totally against the idea of female empowerment that we're seeing in this.
Really? I didn't even hear that.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people are not happy.
Too woke.
That they feel like, Evil-Lyn's conversation about how she put her career on hold to promote Skeletor, or how Teela was. It is true, right? I mean, it's true, but people don't want to hear that. I guess that message, and I don't get that.
And how interesting is that? Because how often do we watch these shows? And in the 80s, I feel like literally created this type of storyline where you had the main person and 3 people around them.
Right.
And you're hearing their perspective of, I had my own ambitions. They were evil, but I had my own ambitions. But that's so interesting to me. That gives them depth.
It does, and it gives them internal conflict as well as external conflict.
Right.
It makes a full character instead of just what we have seen in the past, which is a 2-dimensional character. Let's fill the character in. And look, I don't get it. We still, I think every episode we had a flashback at least to He-Man fighting someone, right? Yep. You still got to see your He-Man battles.
And an evil He-Man. How cool was that?
Right? So what's wrong with Skeletor actually winning once? and then trying to deal with the fallout of that. We have Skeletor now.
The way he won too was so. I'm gonna be honest, and look, we are the inner nerds, right? But we're becoming. I know myself. I'm becoming a better nerd because I wasn't a fan. This was a little bit past me. I can remember being like, and this is not to age you, John, or any of the viewers, but I can remember being like 5 or 6 watching the reruns of this on and morning cartoons before. So like how Saturday mornings worked, because my shows would come on at 9, so from like 7 to 8 they had a lot of their older cartoons playing, so I would see the Transformers, GI Joes before my cartoons would come on. So I can remember watching it and just thinking I never really cared about Skeletor because he never had there was no stakes to it. He stabbed Adam, he killed him potentially. That's insane. Skeletor never scared me before. He's now on a level with Darth Vader. Like,
he's a real bad, right? Like not the he's a haha bad. He's never gonna win bad. There are real stakes in this show now, right? Yeah. We are seeing actual death and what that means for the storyline. And so why hate on it? Right. Yeah. And let me get this out there because, the idea that, it should be He-Man show and we, the whole anti-female leading the show. Hello, they had to create She-Ra back in the 80s because it was such an opportunity to expand this universe. We had a female master of the universe back in the 80s. What's wrong with having one right now? Yeah. And,
there's 2 things to your point there.
Back, but
I'm okay.
I believe he probably will, in my opinion. I think there will be a way that He-Man reemerges in this, but
we don't even know he's dead yet.
I don't care.
No.
Give me a new master of the universe, right?
100% agree. I 100% agree. And there's 2 things to what you're saying. First, and this again might be a generational thing, it didn't even dawn on me until I started reading reviews, because you had said that to me prior, that this was even female dominated. It wasn't even a thought in my head. I was just on a journey with characters. So I think that there's a generational thing there where a lot of older people are noticing that, didn't notice it. And that, again, that just might be our generation, where I was like, I'm just on this journey with these characters. I can, after reading people seeing it, I was like, you guys really need to grow up. Like, come on, just enjoy the ride. But my second point to that is, and this is not to offend anybody again, but that was my opinion on it. The second thing is, this is such an original concept and show. Like, these characters are so original. We need to be celebrating this because you don't get it. We're in an era of so many bad remakes and continuations. This and the Karate Kid show, Cobra Kai, are so original and good and exciting. Right. This was so exciting.
Characters you were familiar with in your youth, and they're telling a different side of the story. Cobra Kai, we see a lot more from Johnny's side instead of Daniel's side. In this, we're seeing it from the supporting character side instead of the protagonist side. And what's wrong with that? You still got to see all of your favorite toys. I had them. I know what you're talking about. I remember the toys. I had them all, and I got to see them, and it was nostalgic for me to see all of the different ones pop up. And most of your generation, you have no idea who I'm talking about. You didn't, when Lockjaw shows up, you didn't give a shit. When, they have, Stink Ore, that didn't mean anything to you. No. But I grew up with them. I get it. I still got to see them. But I was still being told a new story. This was not meant to be a remake, and he said that. This was a continuation of the story, and that's what he delivered. So why the hell?
To your point, it made me more interested in who these characters are. Because, and no offense again to people, but when I watched their original origin, I'm like, this story is more interesting to me. I was like, these characters are, and again, you had to set the platform, the times are different, the way we tell stories are different. Lockjaw is so much more interesting to me. I want to see more of him. Cyclops or whatever, is that his
Cyclops,
name?
Yep.
Right. I was like, man, this guy, the way they because and this is going to sound weird, it was very realistic in a sense of there was opportunity, and some of these lower characters took up the opportunity, which look at other countries in the world and whatnot. This is what happens when these type of things.
Or even Merman's anger at Evil-Lyn. He talked about, we had the opportunity to work together. I would rule the sea, you ruled the land, and we could have filled the void, and you turned your back on me. Right? That's that betrayal, like you're talking about, right? Oh, we could have worked together and done this, but you turned your back on me. So there's like real depth and story there. Like, we have people pissed off at each other, right?
Yeah.
You know,
it just adds more now because He-Man's. I agree with you. He-Man's coming back. He is.
I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, but
right, he's still cool. The transformation, you had said this. The transformation was. I was like, I was so excited. I was like, I gotta go work out. But for once. But when he does come back now, though, it's going to be so much more exciting because now you know the stakes for all the other characters. Like, that is so much more thrilling as a viewer of a story. It's almost like you got to read a book because you got to see so much more of these characters.
Yeah,
and you don't always get that.
Man at Arms. I mean, Duncan.
Yep.
Who is, they clearly said, the old Man at Arms now, because Teela was supposed to become the new Man at Arms, but Man at Arms Duncan. You see so much more to the character and his aging and what he did with, creating Roboto and how Roboto's journey to realize that there was more to him than just a robot at the end. That was
so original that he put his own, like, what do they say, the consciousness into him, and then he had
his own memories, everything I know too. I can do this because you gave it to me.
That was so interesting. That was such a cool choice on like the Terminator type of thing. I was like, wow, I would have never. You could have given me 2 years. I would have never thought of that as like a writer. I was like, that was so clever. I love and I thought this was I thought it was an analogy for today. The loss of magic in shows, in cinema, in theater, in art in general, in life in general, and the thought of your generation when you saw this as kids and now you're adults and you're in the technology age and you lost that sense of being a kid and you lost that sense of, I was like, and I might be looking at more than you're supposed to. I'm even getting goosebumps thinking about it because it almost told the story in a way of these were the people you followed and you are also kind of like these people. You've also had problems with relationships with your kids, with your lovers. People have lied to you. You've aged with these characters also, and you have to go find the magic back in, whether it be life, whether it be in the show.
Not only that, but like my generation talks all the time about how we didn't have all this technology and stuff, right? And how our childhood was better. But the reason that I think my generation says that is because of what you just said, the magic, right? We had these Saturday morning cartoons and that was it. And then we played and we had the toys and we had to create the magic in our own heads. Now with the technology, there are so many different avenues to distract you. You don't have that growing up experience that we had. I remember going around with friends and we played as the Star Wars characters, right? Yeah. We reenacted in people's backyards. Oh, this stick is, Han's gun, right? And so there's that. But I do want to, I don't know if you recognize this, but you can really tell how deep Kevin Smith is to a Star Wars fan. Right?
Yeah.
Because, right, when you think about the Star Wars conflict, the Jedi versus the Empire, it really is the magic versus the technology issue. And that's exactly what he put into this.
Take away the guide, Luke. Trust the Force.
Right, exactly, right? So that's what we're seeing here, the loss of the magic and trying to bring the magic back in. And that was the same journey that the Jedi were doing in the original trilogy.
What's his name? Orko?
Orko.
To your larger point now, because now I'm gonna have to go watch the show again. Evil-Lyn even is depressed in the sense of what the world is. And the fact, and I think that's how they, like you were saying, they're able to connect because she even had some sort of either identity or enjoyment, as evil as it was, within what the world was. And even though they won, they've taken over in a sense in a lot of parts of the world. She she still wishes back for a different time. And then when he does die, she's almost hit harder than anyone else.
Yeah. When they're in Subternia, that was the interesting thing, right? They all were confronted with their own bad version of it, right?
That was so cool.
Teela is dealing with the bad He-Man because she felt lied to and betrayed. But Orko and Evil-Lyn, their hell, which is what it was that they were in the Hall of Magic and there was no magic.
Even
right?
And that's what I thought was interesting. She was upset.
Hell, right? That's their personal hell. Yeah. Magic is gone. So,
yeah.
I mean, right. Evil-Lyn was in that same hell as Orko. The two magical beings that we had on this journey with us, that was their hell, that magic would be gone. So
and talk about, and I don't know how, this is what blows my mind, how people don't like it. Some of these scenes when Skeletor punches through the mat and He-Man comes through with a huge fist, when Orko is sacrificing himself with the rings, I was watching it like, oh, what is happening? He's going to sacrifice himself? I was so blown. Some of the imagery you've seen can be in a museum. How beautiful
and you're
it was.
Sad about it for him, but happy for him at the same time because he was sick going into this.
Yeah.
He wanted to go on the journey because it was the best times of his life were on the journey.
That broke my heart.
And so he died happy. You know that he died happy. Yeah. But it's sad because you're losing this character that you grew up with, or that the characters.
I'm just learning, and I loved him, and I only seen him for what, 5 minutes of the whole show, 10 minutes,
right?
And I mean, this is, talk about an unfair mission Kevin Smith had, or task. You had to please a whole generation while introducing. I know he's kind of reiterating, but introducing within, and you had to anticipate. I wasn't going to watch however many episodes it was. Mm-hmm. So you had it, and people have work and time, they're not going to go back and rewatch everything. So, and you're just brought into this story where, and he knew he was going to kill off some very beloved characters.
And he did a lot of them. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, they were secondary characters, to the larger point, but he did kill off a number of secondary characters as well as, Adam. But it's brutal. But
and this is the setup I was going for here. My question to you is, and Hollywood hates this, you do sometimes need to put a stamp to the story. Do you think that this is it's a good job to, we're going to end He-Man eventually, and this is kind of where I feel like we're going with this series, is that this is the end to the story. Are you okay with that, or do you think it's not that? Do you think Orko's going to come back? Like, I think if this is where
I don't think Orko's coming back. I don't think Orko will come back.
Yeah. Are you okay with this being almost the closing, whatever? I don't know how many parts this is supposed to be, but this is the closing book of the story. And then they could always revitalize it like they do with Transformers or whatever. Right. But for the original storyline, do you think that's where we're going? Are you okay with that as an original fan?
Look, I think I'm mixed on that. Right, I'm okay with losing some of these characters. I'm not sure where I fall on losing He-Man. I guess I would be okay with it if you're gonna introduce a new champion. I'm not sure how I would feel about Teela being it, not because Teela is a woman, just because she was an established character before, and I'm not sure that I want. When he went off, or we visited Eternia, where he was at the time, you saw the whole line of champions that came before him,
which was so cool.
It was cool. And
we met Grayskull. Sorry.
Yeah. So, yes, we give a new champion. It can be a woman. We saw one in Eternia. I don't care about that. Give me a new character to be the champion. I don't want it to be Teela, because Teela has her own story and her own arc. I don't want that arc to now become He-Man replacement. I want to continue to see her develop down this road. Give me a new character. I'm totally fine with that if that's the direction they're going. But I don't know if I'm okay with never seeing He-Man again. I think I need to see more of him to really feel like it closed out.
Yeah, I would ideally like to see him back in Adam form, back in I guess heaven. I know they said he can't, but I think that was really moving, that episode where he's not only Adam and they kind of tease him, but they accept him as one of his own. He's really okay. He gets him. He gets to talk. He gets to communicate with everyone. But I'm with you. There's like this weird sense of people are not. They don't. They say they want to see more. They want to see new, but they really just want the same of the old. I think you and I are in the same line of thinking. Of we say this with Star Wars. We say this with Mandalorian. We want to explore the things we've never seen before. There's so many creative people that these places can hire. Netflix, Lucasfilm. Why do we always have to go back to the Skywars saga? Why do we always have to go back to the He-Man saga? And you can always go back. You can go back in 10 years from now, but let's see the different areas of this world. Let's see the different characters.
Like, that's one of the things I think everybody liked about Mandalorian, right? It was a new character, but it pulled from canon, and we got to see some of the characters either referenced or flow through. That's what we want. We don't want just a carbon copy of what was done in the past. That was a lot of the criticism against the new sequels, which shall not be named in Star Wars, but you know, that it was a carbon copy when he was introducing, you know, the new 3, you know, characters, and okay, this is going to be our new Han, Luke, and Leia, and you know, we don't want that. Give us a new character. Yes, if some of the old characters or old planets or whatever find their way in, cool, but give us new. Give us something new to get excited about.
100% agree.
Yeah.
What are your you had brought this up in your trailer video, which I'll make sure is linked on the bottom, or was it your trailer or your reaction?
My reaction video.
Your reaction. Give us some insight of, because these people to me these are the voices. Yeah. But what were your opinion on the new cast, which is an all-star cast? I'm gonna name some. Chris Wood, who I'm not that familiar with, but he was He-Man. Lena Headey.
Yes. Cersei Lannister.
Cersei. Evil-Lyn. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Teela. Tiffany Smith. Buffy. Who's a newer. Alan Oppenheimer. Who was
the original voices, which is so cool that they brought him in. He used to do Skeletor. He used to do Cringer. He used to do Man-at-Arms. They brought him in to be the Moss Man, which is this old ancient character, which is kind of playing to his age. But the fact that Kevin Smith said, you know what, I want to pay homage to this man who voiced my childhood, is awesome to me. I love that he did that.
That's cool. Henry Rollins as Triclops. If you don't know him, he's one of the most terrifying characters in like Sons of Anarchy. So that was really cool that they got him. Liam Cunningham. I mean, he's a goat. Man-at-Arms.
I mean, seriously, Stavros from Game of Thrones. If you're not, I mean, if you don't follow that, you should.
He's a great actor. And then, of course, the one and only Mark Hamill, who I thought I liked him more than from what I've seen from the original Skeletor. No offense to anybody, but I thought his voice inflection, and I watched a video on how he was getting ready for it. They have it on Netflix. They have it on Netflix. Kevin Smith does the interviews. So good.
He kills it. And he didn't. What I do love is that he didn't play too much into the Joker voicing that he had done for the Batman animated series. Who, by the way, Kevin Conroy is in this too as one of the actors.
I missed it. I'm looking at it still.
Yeah. He was the original Batman voice in the Batman animated series. So we've got Batman and the Joker in this.
That's so cool.
Characters. I Mark Hamill just totally takes a different spin on it. He doesn't do the Joker voice, which is great because that's always a big fear. You know, he is a great voice actor. I love him when he's bad. So I mean, come on.
Yeah, but how did you feel from
voicing wise? I mean, whose voices are better? No, I thought these voices were great. I loved every character's voice I felt like was very, very true to the original character, but updated. So I mean, that's kind of the way I would say. But look, I mean, this is an all-star cast, and when you talk about some of those names and some of those characters may not be needed. I mean, why would we see the Queen again now with Adam being dead, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar? Nope. Or was that Alicia Silverstone that plays Alicia Silverstone? I'm sorry, Alicia Silverstone plays the Queen. They don't hire Alicia Silverstone to voice the 3 lines of dialogue that we saw in the first 5 episodes. So that leads me to believe that we're going to see more of the Queen and probably Adam, He-Man later.
That's a good segue because I'm trying to find some information on part 2. So it's confirmed that all scripts are done and Smith has seen all the scripts. There is no date so far out for when it's coming. As of this, I'm reading an article from a couple of days ago from the actual release of this. Kevin Smith put a tweet out saying we cannot release a synopsis for part 2 without spoiling part 1. So they're going to wait for basically everything. I guess they're going to give it a couple weeks so everyone can see it, which is pretty smart. That's cool. I love when
the more hate can build up on him.
I mean, right. They're unbelievable.
Yeah, it is.
It was ordered for 12 episodes, so we got 5. So that means we're going to get, what, another 7?
That would make sense if he drops 7 or...
Well, no, there was 6 episodes this season? I thought there was 5.
No, there's 5 in the first drop.
Yeah.
And then...
there is... Wait, what is this? Last year? Oh, this is a different show.
Yeah.
So so they haven't announced a part 2. I hope we don't have to wait that long. I mean, that would stink. We have to wait a year.
If he waits, it wouldn't be up to him. It would be up to Netflix. But I don't think they'd have us wait a year. But will they shift based off of the hate that he's getting for the first 5 to try and let the hate die down? I hope not. I want to see it sooner.
They're wrong. I'm sorry, guys. And hey, we're the inner nerds. You're not. I don't want to say you're wrong. Your opinion matters to us. However you feel. Comment below. Let us know why we're wrong, though. Don't just say it's bad. You have to justify it.
Yeah, like we just did. Why we don't think it's bad. We want to. If you really truly believe this was bad, tell us why. Tell us why we're missing the mark here about why this isn't a good continuation of the story or moving the story forward. And it can't be that Kevin Smith got to play with your toys in a way you didn't like, because that's just not, everybody had a different vision. When you got together with your friends and you all brought your toys together, nobody agreed on how the toys were going to play together. You had to work it out together. Kevin came in, he gave us his version of how he wanted to play with the toys. I'm okay with it.
Home run. I thought it was a home run.
I'm okay with it. I don't want to say home run yet because
the story's not over.
Right. Because I think what he gave us was a good kickoff.
Yeah. Good point.
I got to see where he's going with it. And he's got to actually use some of those toys more than he did in the first 5. Right?
Yeah.
He gave me a shot of some of these characters. If that was the full thing, fine. But then give me some new characters that are going to fill those voids. Give me some new henchmen, whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
Develop some new characters. I'm cool. But
yeah, I feel like we got Fellowship in the Ring and 2 Towers. It's time for Return of the King almost. In the sense that we went on a journey with some of these other characters that I'm coming from this perspective of I didn't know anything about any of them, and I don't know. And I after the first 2 episodes, I binged the last 3 because I was obsessed. I was in. I'm not used to seeing colors like this, and I'm a huge fanboy. And I've said this before on the channel. I'm a ride or die type of person. I usually will go, even if it's bad, I'll still love it. I'm a big Rick and Morty fan, and the last 2 episodes, I've been like, what? But I'll still defend them for no reason other than because I love them. So I understand people's bias. I totally get it, especially in this genre. But I thought for what he had to do, I'm totally in. And why I brought up the Lord of the Rings references was just that they had to go on these journeys, and then
Yeah,
they
but
had
I
their
don't
big
think
battle.
we hit the Two Towers phase of it yet. I think where we
Okay.
are in this arc, if we're going to tie it to Lord of the Rings, I
Yeah.
think we're at the spot where Gandalf fought off Balrog and sacrificed his life. I think that's where we're at. We're at the team is despondent.
Hmm.
The you know
Well, He-Man's dead, right?
they've
You're right.
lost their
You're right.
leader,
Right.
and now they're sad and
The hell do you
they
do
don't know
now?
what direction to go. What happens now? I think that's
Yeah.
where we're at. If we're gonna try and do it on that arc, I think that's the spot we're at.
What does happen? Skeletor's a god now. Like, what?
Skelegod, yeah, I don't know.
He
Right?
looks
We've never
sick.
seen it like this before. He's the master of the universe. Let's see what
That flame thing. He looks so cool.
it was a good look. It was a good look. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Adam's dead. He's just laying there, kind of like dying. Right. He's not. It'd be kind of cool if some of these gods, maybe, because they can come back, right? Like, what? Let's. I mean, let's start. I guess wrapping up. We're over half hour. What are
Yeah.
some theories you might have?
You just threw one out there that I hadn't really thought about. Can they pull a champion from Eternia back? Can they pull Grayskull back to redefend? I
That'd
don't
be so
know.
epic.
I mean, that would be an angle, right? They introduced us to him. Was there?
Right.
Maybe there was a reason for it. I don't know. That would be a cool direction to go. I don't know. I really don't know, and I love that about what he's doing. I don't know. I was not expecting the end of the first 5 episodes to end with Skeletor.
No, not at all.
Right. So I have
and
no
I edited
idea.
your video, and even like when I edited it, it's funny because I knew most of what was happening when I edited your Masters of the Universe video, and even knowing what was going on, I still was like, what is happening? And then because you said it in your video, what happens at the end, and I was like, what is he talking about, right? And then when it happened, because they set you up for everything's okay, I was like, what?
Yep.
They stabbed him, and it was so ruthless and brutal. I was like,
Stabbed him right. Yep.
God, and he's like in Adam form too, not even as He-Man. I was like, because then you think about his parents and his friends, and maybe I was thinking too much into it, but I was like, they just killed him. Oh yeah, I just stand for it.
Yeah, he just died twice for his parents, right?
Yeah,
like they had already been dealing with the grief,
wow,
the elation of him being back, and then boom, he's dead again.
And they set you up with the fact that if he dies, that's it,
right?
Like you just learned that. And he even become He-Man yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm in love.
I don't know which way they're going. I'm going to be there for the journey. I will say that. I know you are too. I hope some of these fanboys will give it a second view, calm themselves down a little bit, recognize that it's not the old series and that he's trying to push the story forward. And give it a second chance.
There's definitely layers and complexity to it, I think, that are great. Yeah, I agree with you. I think, and I can understand it if this is your first time seeing it, you're all excited, and you're like, wait a minute, what is all this? Where's He-Man? I can definitely understand that, but I think, like you said, give it a second view with an open perspective. After, of course, the internerds have convinced you, and after you subscribe to us and you like everything, you like this video, you dropped a comment. I think Kevin Smith is. I think this is riddled with love. I definitely do think that. I think this show
he definitely loves
this
property. He definitely loves this property.
Yeah.
And just so you guys know, when you drop a comment, we do respond back. Yep. We will get into this debate with you. We are not just, here's our take and that's it. We don't listen. Yep. We do listen to the fans. We will listen to what you have to say, and we will get into a discussion with you. So please, if you want to change our minds, try and change them. We're open.
Yep. Yeah, Jay John, why don't you send us off?
All right, Internerds, thanks. Make sure you are liking, subscribing, following everything we do. There is some great content coming up, and we hope you'll follow us on this journey with Masters of the Universe. Peace.
I'm just gonna stop.